Back, Thresholds and Transits. My name is Megan. Today we are talking to Taurus rising for April 2026 horoscopes. In the Thema Mundi, Taurus is the 11th house in the Thema Mundi, the house of community and friendship and alliances, and what is built together over time. Venus rules here in her second domicile. Taurus rising people experience self through what endures, through what can be touched and sustained and grown in relationship with others over time. The wound that tends to shadow this placement is the belief that the security must be earned through stillness, and that the stable self is the one that does not move. Welcome back to Thresholds and Transits. My name is Megan. I'm an astrology student. As I learn astrology, then I make content. So I'm happy that you're here because that means that it's resonating and I'm still learning. If you like how I work, you can go to my website, meganriley.eu, and sign up for a number of different kinds of readings and ways that we contact, or just look in the description box below and that has all of the links as well. meganriley.eu. I have donation-based readings since I'm trying to have as many readings as possible as I am a student. I have a sliding scale readings, and I have a membership, and then I also have intuitive readings. So check that out. Send me a message if you need. Megan@meganriley.com. Okay, so Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018 in your first house, on your body. 7 years of disruption of the Taurus self, the Taurus values, the Taurus sense of what is stable and what is good. Uranus leaves your first house on April 26th. This month is the threshold for you. So let's talk about what that means. So Uranus is at 28 to 29 degrees Taurus for most of April, still in your first house, still in your body, and in late April, it ingresses into Gemini and moves into your second house, ending its 7-year transit of your ascendant. But before it leaves, it is still active, and the last degrees of Uranus often produce the final activation, whatever that may be. So whatever in the self hasn't been disrupted, here it comes. What has been revolutionized in you since 2018, not in your circumstances, but in you. The Taurus rising person of 2026 is not the same person who entered this Uranus transit in 2018. Your values have shifted, your relationship to your body has shifted, the sense of what stability actually means, what it requires, what it costs, what it is for, all of this has been fundamentally altered. Adrienne Rich wrote in Diving into the Wreck that the expedition goes down to see the damage that was done and the treasures that prevail. Uranus in the first has been that expedition. The damage and the treasure are both real. The question is not what was broken, the question is what was freed. Venus, your ruling planet, is in Taurus, in your first house for most of April, 7 to 24 degrees of Taurus. Your ruler is on your body. So the self is in alignment with Venusian values, embodied, sensory, relational, oriented towards body and towards what is genuinely desired rather than what is just endured. Where have you been substituting endurance for preference? And what do you actually want? How long has it been since you allowed that question? What do you actually want? Sirius is in Taurus, also in your first house, the provider archetype sitting on the self. So Sirius in the first can mean deep generativity and embodied abundance, or it could mean the depletion that comes from giving from a vessel that has not been filled. Sirius asks what you actually need to be sustained before you can sustain others. You also have Pluto at 5 degrees of Aquarius in your 10th house, stationing retrograde in late April. The 10th house is career, public reputation, and the face that you show the professional world. Pluto in the 10th is dismantling the power structures in your professional life since 2024. The retrograde turns this inward. What power dynamic at work is being exposed for you? Who holds the authority in your professional life, and on what terms was that authority granted? Juno in Aquarius is conjunct Pluto in your 10th house all month. So the professional agreement and the contract around public authority and career standing is under Plutonic pressure. Juno in the 10th is the demand for equal power in the public sphere. She's not asking for access to power that has been structured to exclude her. She's demanding a renegotiation of the terms. Saturn in Aries, Neptune in Aries, and Mars ingressing into Aries on April 12th are all moving through your 12th house, the house of the hidden, the unconscious, the isolated, at what operates beneath awareness. The 12th house is not the house of evil in this framework. It is the house of what hasn't yet been made conscious. So Saturn and Neptune and Chiron in the 12th are operating behind your awareness. They're shaping decisions through patterns and wounds that you haven't yet named. And what is running your behavior from the unconscious? What wound or belief is governing your choices while the surface presents as stability? Chiron at 25 to 27 degrees of Aries in your 12th. This wound you do not yet know that you have. Jupiter, 16 to 18 degrees Cancer in your 3rd house all month. A house of communication and language and local connection. The greater benefic in the house of voice is expansion through communication. A good period for writing and speaking and teaching and the articulation of what you know. Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius is in your 8th house, the house of shared resources, psychological depth, and the taboo. Lilith in the 8th is the financial or psychological exile, the autonomy in the territory of what is shared. What financial or psychological merger did you say no to? Or maybe you needed to say no but didn't. What refusal lives in the deep and shared terrain? Black Moon Lilith in the 8th can also indicate the ways in which the depth work or the shadow integration, the psychological material that belongs to the shared sphere, has been made uncomfortable or unacceptable. The refusal that lives in intimacy. And then Venus moving from Taurus in your 1st into Gemini in your 2nd in late April carries that same Venusian warmth into the material sphere just as Uranus arrives. So you have the resources and the finances and the material foundation are all about to be disrupted, but Venus goes in first. So here are your questions for the month. First, Uranus is leaving your 1st house after 7 years. So what has been revolutionized in you since 2018? Not in your circumstances, not what's reflecting back to you, but in you. What is different about the self that is crossing this threshold? Second, Venus, your ruler, is in your 1st house for most of April. What does it mean to be in genuine alignment with desire? What have you been substituting endurance for preference? Third, Pluto is stationing in your 10th house. So what power structure in your professional life is being exposed? Who holds the authority? And on what terms was that authority constructed? Fourth, Saturn, Neptune, and Mars will be in your 12th house. So what is operating behind your awareness that is shaping your decisions? What is the unconscious wound, or what is the belief that could be running the show while the surface presents as stability? And then finally, Chiron is in your 12th house. What wound do you not yet know you have? So that's it, dear Taurus risings. Uranus was always the light, not the damage. And the wreck was already there. So what did you find? See you next time.